Not a chunni. Chalo, छोड़ देते हैं.
Hello everyone, good evening, namaste, sasriya kal, adab. This is Akta Sehgal Malhotra, founder and chief strategy officer of Motherhood Club. And this is the month of mothers. And at Motherhood Club, we are celebrating this entire month, bringing out some interesting, inspirational journeys of mother. Well, every mother is an inspiration in her own self for the sacrifices, the adjustments, the learning that she provides to the kids. She's the one who shapes them to be the future leader. She's the one who grooms them. She's the one who gets the flack if they don't do good. She's the one who doesn't get the credit if she does it right, and a lot more. Well, mother is the epitome of love, affection, sacrifice, and above all, she is someone who brings in hope in the form of a new life in this world. Today with us is Dr. Shivani Bhardwaj. Dr. Shivani Bhardwaj is the founder for Sathi All For Participation. She is someone who works extensively to empower not just herself, but all those women who already are empowered and who need a little bit of a push to identify their own potential. I have seen her in action. She thinks differently. She is someone who would go out of her way to do things for someone who needs it, be it during the time of COVID or otherwise. And this is after the fact that she has had a roller coaster life herself. It's been almost 8 years that I have known her and known her inside out to know a little more than many others. And let me also tell you that this lady is working hard, really hard, to be a financially confident woman. And that is something that I really like about her because she will ask questions and more questions till she gets the answer. And that's something that I love about her. So, a very warm welcome, Dr. Shivani. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's been a
So,
roller coaster ride with you, Ekta, all these eight
yeah,
years.
absolutely, absolutely. We've had conversations across topics, be it parenting, be it finance, be it life in general, and a lot more. But we're going to put that on the side and allow Dr. Shivani Bhardwaj to introduce herself a little more in detail for us to know who she is and also to talk about this amazing title that she has given to her journey of motherhood, the journey of being a mom to being a sibling. And that's really very intriguing, that how can a mom be a sibling? So, Dr. Shivani, first about yourself before we dig into your journey.
Um, I lost my sibling about 8 years ago when I have met you. And then I realized what a sibling was. Because I was a mother to this 2 year elder brother of mine. I've been working in the NGO world for the past 40 years now. And my house was always bubbling with a lot of people visiting at home. And uh, like uh, the father of my kids said, "Ghar ka chauraya banaya hua hai." He was um, a CEO in the corporate world, and I was a development worker. So there was a different world vision, though at the value base we were together, and that's what strengthened the children to be their own individual beings in our household. Um, that's what I would say in my motherhood journey was that जन्मा तो सही पर साथ में ये भी बताया कि जन्मे हो तो खुद की जिम्मेदारी खुद से उठानी है. So, which is what we would even tell the the people that we are working with, whether they were abandoned uh, children, orphans, or they were tribals who had lost the land, or there were people who were associated with extreme vulnerabilities. So anybody who has been born uh, is part of the universe, and they can nurture themselves to build themselves up. Uh, One or two incidences I can tell you on this front, maybe for your questions.
Surely. You very rightly in saying this that इस दुनिया में आए हैं तो अपनी जिम्मेदारी खुद उठानी चाहिए, and I think that is the way mothers try to make their children independent and prepare them for the world that awaits them, the world which is not really a very protective place and where you need to fight your battles on a regular basis. But before I dwell there, let's talk about Shivani over here first, because the kind of mother that you become also stems from the fact that what kind of a person you are, how you carry a legacy from your parents forward, and how you learn and unlearn a lot of things, because there is no rule book, there is no guide that really comes to be an effective parent. And I think the cliche word effective parent, I don't think it really exists, because we all learn in the process. And I'm sure with two grown up boys, one married, you are still learning to be that mother who perhaps they want, or how you would want it. So who actually is Shivani?
I'm a simple human being who was very passionate about doing something different than my her own mother. My mother rejected the possibility of going to Brazil and learning art in London School of Art and so on. So I was very sad that she didn't take the opportunities for the family. एंड आई वुड जस्ट से कि अगर आप जाती तो हम भी शायद अभी ब्राजील या लंदन में बैठे होते. So that was one thing, that opportunities come to people when they will, and what you make out of it, and why in the role should one be sacrificial. So that was something that I learned from my own parent, that this is not to be. So if I was going out to work, I was going out to work. Uh, I made arrangements that there will be enough food in the fridge, and there would be people to look after other people. And very fortunately, the grandparents, all the four grandparents, were very much available to the children. And their father was a very hands-on father who was scholastically very inclined to see that report card में अव्वल ही आना चाहिए. So my elder one was logically gifted, so he would always be first. And after 4 years, when the younger one came and in his uh, primary class, he would do things differently. So my elder one got very disturbed. So Abhas is the elder and Prakhar is the younger one. वो कहता था, आप इसे पढ़ाते क्यों नहीं हो, आप ये क्यों नहीं करते हो, आप वो क्यों नहीं करते हो. मैंने कहा बाबा तेरे को क्या दिक्कत हो रही है, तुम क्यों गुस्सा हो रहे हो ऐसे. तो रोने लग गया, कहने लग गया कि आप तो मर जाओगे फिर मुझे उसको देखना पड़ेगा. I was so shocked. I said, then I sat him down to say, look, जिम्मेदार इसमें मैं हूँ, तुमको ये जिम्मेदारी लेने की बिल्कुल जरूरत नहीं है. You have to be responsible for what you want to do in life, and he will do it his way, and you just let him be. तो लिटरली ऐसा ही होता था. हम घर में 4 जने थे और चारों की अपनी अपनी पाथवे थी, अपना काम था। सो मच सो दैट डेंटिस्ट की अपॉइंटमेंट भी बच्चों को खुद देनी पड़ती थी, खुद चल के डेंटिस्ट के पास जाके अपना दांत उगवा के आना पड़ता था। तो एल्डर वन ने तो आराम से कर लिया, बट छोटे वाला जब खून निकलने लग गया तो ही मेड द डेंटिस्ट कॉल मी, मम्मी व्हाट काइंड ऑफ अ मदर आर यू, मेरा खून निकल रहा है, मदर इज नॉट हियर. So for him, I had to go to the dentist to say, okay, I'm coming. So one size doesn't really fit all. ये भी कम उम्र में समझ आया कि हर एक बंदे की अपनी ट्रैजेक्टरी होती है और अपनी नीड्स होती हैं. So uh, they develop differently. Also, we made it a point that they should go to different schools because they were very different personalities. और अपनी जिम्मेदारी खुद तो उठाना तो ठीक था, बट आभास could really make Prakhar polish his shoes and do all that, and in return he'll do his homework. They had their own barter systems.
Most
So,
siblings have that.
so but अभी भी वो चल रहा है, एक 30 का हो गया और दूसरा 34 years का हो गया, तो उनकी अपनी नेगोशिएशंस चलती रहती हैं, लेन देन चलता रहता है.
But this is actually amazing that how you could figure out with their help as to how different both of them are. So how would you deal if there was a conflict and both of them were in front of you, that okay, now resolve the issue, one logical, the other a little emotional, so how would you deal with that?
Um, when they came to me, they really came to me one on one, and their own differences they resorted and sorted out themselves. So there was very little time for conferencing for 4 of us together or 3 of us together. That's the way it turned out to be. Also because the grandparents were always there as a buffer up, and there was a huge battery of mm, friends and their children. एक हमारी जॉइंट किटी पार्टी होती थी, तो उसमें बच्चे भी और बड़े भी इकट्ठे पार्टी करते थे. और while the father focused on scholastical gains, I was just very very fun oriented, and उसी में learning थी. So we had a group called Knowing and Loving Your Delhi Better. So हर संडे कहीं ना कहीं हम चले जाते थे, कोई हिस्टोरिकल साइट हो या असोला जंगल जंगल हो या बटकल लेक हो, उसका कोई हिस्टोरियन साथ होता था, और somebody used to be there to really know your the land that nurtures you, with
Right.
people who love you. And evenings were swimming time. We had a small Maruti, and all these kids used to fight with each other. I will sit in the dicky. I will sit in the dicky. So it was a car packed with about 14, 15 kids. Everybody
Wow.
had their duck and all that, and we swim, exhaust ourselves, come back. There were pajama parties, there were all kinds of parties. So it was really reliving my own childhood. That's how I was fortunate to have parents who had a community bringing up. It wasn't a singular bringing up. So things would get sorted within the group itself. So things never came to me. तो जब ये बड़ा वाला इंजीनियर बन गया, दूसरा वाला लॉयर बन गया, तो वॉक करते करते इवनिंग वॉक में एक लेडी ने पीछे पीछे आ रही थी, एक मिनट रुकिए रुकिए, you have such successful children, I wanted to ask you, what did you do to have such successful children? I just stopped and I thought, and I said, actually, I what I really did well was that I did nothing.
You just let them
And
be themselves.
just let them be. And of course, when they wanted to do something and they asked me कि ये करना है, ये वाला एग्जाम क्रैक करना है, 2 बजे सो रहा हूँ, 6 बजे उठा देना, all that, वो तो आप किसी बॉयफ्रेंड के साथ भी रहो तो आप करते हो, या किसी दादी के साथ रहो तो भी ये करते हो. So those are human beings staying together, and that's why I say from being a mother to a sibling, because role developing and role taking and evolving roles, ये सब कितना अपने हाथ में होता है. नेगोशिएशंस भी होते हैं, पर वो बहुत प्यार से अगर नेगोशिएट कर लो तो तकरार की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़े. That people have to be flexible, and they have to also be very firm about what they want to do.
Right.
वो एक चीज अगर समझ में आ जाए तो वो अच्छा रहता है. और
But that's a very sure. Please
कभी
go ahead.
गड़बड़ हुई तो फिर प्रोफेशनल हेल्प लेने में शर्म नहीं आनी चाहिए. वो भी एक
Absolutely.
था कि हमारा काम में मेंटल हेल्थ को देखना काफी इम्पोर्टेंट था. So in the end, I was the one who was going to a lot of counselors and psychiatrists, especially when the family broke down. At the age of 30, my husband asked for out, and I was resisting it a lot. नहीं, 30 years of our married age, 32 years of marriage. So
So the
that's
kids
my
were grown up.
partner. The kids were grown up, and that's what my husband had thought, because we were different people with different aspirations. So he waited for the kids to be settled to then find a way to fall in love and be romantic. So
But Shivani, I normally address you as Shivani Di, but I'm going to take the liberty today to call you Shivani. Uh, that community concept of taking the kids out to be with the community, to actually have that hands on experience. I think that as a concept is largely missing in today's time. And I, so wish that each of us as parents are able to do that, because that is where we teach our kids humility, we teach our kids empathy. We actually, make them be closer to the real life rather than just looking at what is bookish. And I think that was one of the major reasons to start these talk shows, to not look at a Google or a parenting book, when there is so much of experience that lies with each one of us in the way we deal with situations. So I think that is something which is coming out so strong. And for all of you who are watching us right now, or who would watch this conversation at a later point in time, firstly, thank you so much for joining in. uh, Shivani has been working extensively in the social workspace also, and I think, to bring that aspect in kids is a big a miss in today's time. And that is why everybody is so self-centered. All they are thinking about is that how do I win that rat race without being that great human being. And I think maybe you can throw some light on this. Could that also be a reason why the whole concept of diversity and inclusiveness and equity, the DIE that we talk about, is still not in place? Because as parents, as members of the community, we aren't willing to actually engage with each other.
it is actually a individual personality trait, as well as how you deal with the pressures of competing, of being ahead. So the elder boy was a person who competed, but the younger one understood कि मैं मम्मी कितनी भी कोशिश कर लेता हूँ, कोई और मेरे से ज्यादा अच्छी कोशिश कर लेता है. तो इसमें भी आप देखिए कि एक इंडिविजुअल किसी भी तरह से कह रहा है मेरे को जीतना है, और they are burning the night oil, they are cursing the other person, they are always blaming someone if they have fallen back, which is the way the corporates would let you develop, because that's the way they have seen rising. Whereas this other boy said, कि नहीं, if somebody's worked hard, they've worked harder than me, therefore they are ahead. It's fine. बट ये भी था कि भाई वही बच्चा रोता था कि क्या बना दिया है आपने लड़कियों को, बिकॉज ही यूज्ड टू सी मी एज अ वुमेन्स राइट एक्टिविस्ट. सीधे में कोई बात करने को तैयार ही नहीं है. एवरी टाइम दे आर जस्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट देयर राइट्स, एंड दैट्स नॉट फेयर. You also have to be giving in. So, and what is this? Everybody is favoring girls. What about boys? So, a questioning mind and would perhaps look at inclusion. Person who's always competing would like to swim against the tide and be ahead. So, unfortunately, I think the corporate world has won, and the development inclusivity is falling short of gaining popularity. But
Unfortunately, yeah.
but the times will change. It's not that
But
people have
if I,
risen, and then they've seen that it is very lonely up there. You know?
it is, yes.
And when
And
loneliness strikes, the person would open up to be part of others.
correct.
Then a new beginning starts. Mhm.
Absolutely, absolutely. And let me tell everyone, this boy who said that as much as I try hard, yet someone else, scores or gets it better, is the same boy who actually got a scholarship from Harvard, and he
Mhm.
is excelling. And I can speak about him because I get to interact with him very closely, and I've seen the way this young man now, I would say, has
Mhm.
shined out, and many congratulations for that. And to I think to give the credit to you and your ex-partner to have groomed the kids in a manner the way they are today with the value system intact, even though both of you as a couple decided to part ways, I think speaks volume about the way the kids have been brought up. you know Keeping that balance between scholastic and the humanity aspect, with you, because you came from that sector, you came from that mindset, you focused on that aspect, and your ex, being a corporate person himself, focused on the scholastic part, and that scoring, that old school thought that most parents come with. I think a perfect blend to actually shape up the boys the way they have been. But normally when kids see that parents part ways, it does leave an impact on the kids, while they were grown up. But I'm sure they would have smelled the coffee and would have perhaps figured out that what's going on. Was there any time that you felt that it impacted the kids, and how did you deal with that? How did you be that pillar of strength to both of them to deal with that situation?
Within the situation, I was completely shattered, and the boys were a pillar of strength for me that time. And they were supporting their dad for uh, falling out. So, and I was resisting. But let me take you before that. In the ninth standard, this boy got his girlfriend at home, and we have a duplex house. So he said, "Mommy, don't come up." And if somebody is being so straightforward, I also said, "Okay." I've got busy making a cake to say whenever these people come down, they'll have cake and cold coffee. But when the father came, he just went straight up and he came straight down. "What are you allowing?" I said, "You would go and disallow, you know." So he also kind of gave in to the fact that he had asked the boys to choose what they really want to do, and if in ninth standard they want to bring a partner home, uh, they could, rather than going somewhere else and being shamed by the police or others. But why it was important to share this is, at that time they had their partners to fall back upon. And their girlfriends then would counsel me, no, auntie, it is okay. uh, you cannot stay with a person who's loves someone else. So please give the divorce. And I would argue with them, no, family is important, etc., etc. But then I grew from that. That was where I felt that from a sibling, I became a child that time. And understanding that family is not just biological and what you marry into, it expands. So today, my partner, ex-partner's wife, her daughter, and all of us, we are together in a extended family group, and we attended the marriage of our first born very joyfully together without any hard feelings. So that also is the inclusivity which, and for this, I think both the boys worked very hard that this should happen. So it takes a lot of growing as a person to see the Buddha in everybody around, especially your family members, and not to cast them into uh, any malignment from something that you couldn't deal with. And it's your responsibility to deal with the change that's happening in the circumstances. And change is the only thing that's constant. तो उसमें बच्चों ने बहुत साथ दिया. अभी भी मतलब उनको दुख तो हम सभी को बहुत है, पर इस बात की खुशी भी है कि we could move on. So when I went to shadi.com and all that to find a partner for myself, I would first pass them through the boys. Okay, this is the kind of person I've chosen. Out of these two, who should I first call? तो फिर वो मॉनिटर करते थे और मैंने कहा तुमने तो ये सब नहीं किया जब तुम गर्लफ्रेंड्स बना रहे थे, तुमने तो अपनी चॉइस हमको बता दी फट से. तो but that's how I think one can become a sibling and not be stuck to a role. अभी शादी भी हुई है तो अब बच्चों का और तरीका है. जो हमारा तरीका था कि सबके सब इकट्ठे रहे, वो हमारा तरीका था. कम्युनिटी भी हमारा तरीका था. ये बच्चे अलग तरह की कम्युनिटी अपने आप बनाते हैं. So my daughter-in-law is an American and a researcher, so she wants her mind space. She said, come, you're really welcome, but not more than specific time, maybe 4 days, 5 days. Beyond that, it's difficult for me. So that was again, then I became the mother from the friend. Can you please close that? So that I slipped into the mother's role at that point of time to say, how can a mother be asked to leave after 4 days? So there was a dialogue with my son at that point of time and my daughter-in-law. And then one had to really understand कि इन बच्चों की दुनिया इतनी burdened है with competition and with and each of them is competing with themselves. To really expect them to do what we did at our times is very, very unfair. So it's better to seek a Airbnb, stay there. Maybe I had planned to stay there for 2 months. तो वो था कि वो भी अच्छा है और ये भी अच्छा है. तो इस दौर में भी बदलना ठीक था. तो फिर मदर से फिर आप एक दोस्त की हैसियत में आ गए. So for sibling, you became a friend who will understand. Give them space.
I'm going to read out some comments that are coming. This is a comment from Ida. She says, "I wish more
Can
people
you
watch
please
this session."
my
Uh,
transmission is getting hampered.
So
Yeah.
Sheila is saying that I wish more people watch this session. She says, I salute you, Shivani. Uh, Ranjita Nath Ghai is saying that, effective suggestions from an expert are way better than Google. Ela is also sharing her, thoughts on parenting. She also has a child who's a grown up, a married woman. But, that I talk to you now, and with you having spoken on multiple aspects over the last 8 odd years, I think I see a very different you today. Someone who has fought her battles, with ups and downs, and today you are like talking about it very calmly, accepting. I think the acceptance is there, that yes, what happened happened, but we got to move ahead. The fact that a newly welcomed person in the family tells you that, hey, you know what, you can be there only for this much time, and you need to go, and that too for your son or for your child for that matter. I think that is commendable. I think the word is acceptance, the word is to take responsibility. The I think the thought is that let's treat each other with respect and dignity as an individual, and not just start typecasting ourselves that, okay, because I am a mom so I have to behave like this, or I am a child so I have to behave like this. I think that stereotyping, I think most of the people are miles away from that, and you actually have been able to do it. So was it effortlessly, or did you actually have to work upon yourself? Because I don't think that your parents generation was like this. They would have been very different. So how did you walk this path? How did you choose this form of parenting?
It is effort everywhere. It's not that effortless. So even when I was a young mother, and my mother-in-law would say, "नहीं, डायपर नहीं पहनाना है, इसको बोरी के ऊपर करके सुसु कराना है, डायपर पहना के रैशेज हो जाएंगे." So from there, you have to understand the parenting of a certain kind, and uh, the change. And there are times when you don't even want to relent, and you have to relent. And in relenting, you end up having migraines, you end up having mental health conditions. So that's the time, I think, the community also doesn't help you. You have to go straight away for professional assistance, meditation, begin the journaling, rationalize. So it's a 24/7 job that you have to continuously keep doing with yourself.
Absolutely.
So it's a lot
So
of effort.
lot of effort. I'm sure it is. I'm
Rather
still
than doing things for children, I think we should continuously do things for ourselves and
thank
let
you.
the children do things for themselves.
Thank you for saying this and bringing it out, because exactly a conversation I was having with a friend of mine today, where she was saying that, now I'm focusing all over my for my child, and I have reduced all my activities. So I told her, I said, you've done it now, but what will you do when the child flies away? Your nest is
Mm.
going to be empty, and then you may regret that, why did I let go of all the things that I wish to. I think that learning to have that balance is essential. And the mental well-being that you mentioned about, I think that is something that mothers definitely need to work upon, because there is so much that's going on. And you
देखिए,
passing.
ये बात है ना कि अगर आप ड्राइव कर रहे हैं और साथ में आपकी मदर भी ड्राइविंग सीट पे बैठ के आपके साथ ड्राइव कर रही है, तो कैसा होगा? You will be uh, hampering in the clear direction. जब आपको क्लच लगानी है और उनको भी क्लच लगानी है, तो ये तो नहीं हो सकता ना. So if you're really doing things for your child, you are demeaning their personality, you are hampering them, you're making them disabled. तो ये मेरे समझ से बहुत गलत है कि आप बच्चों के लिए चीजें कर दे रहे हैं, उनके बोर्ड एग्जाम में अपनी छुट्टी लेके बैठे हुए हैं. अरे भाई, तुम्हारा एग्जाम है कि उसका एग्जाम है? ये तो बहुत गलत, मेरे हिसाब से बहुत गलत बात है. तो उसके साथ क्राफ्ट कर रहे हो, उसके साथ ये कर रहे हो, वो कर रहे हो. उसका काम है, उसको करना है. खाना बनाने में तुम एक तरह से जीरा लाल करते हो, दूसरे एक तरह से करता है. दो जने बैठ के क्या एक डिश इकट्ठे बना सकते हैं? और
Absolutely
बनाते
not.
हैं तो क्या होता है?
Too many cooks spoil the broth.
हम्म.
Absolutely. We have Tapasya Sureka saying that thank you so much. Acceptance is my takeaway lesson from today. Ranjita Nath guy is saying that same issue I also went through, but stood my ground on diapers and then used them too. Later, my sister-in-law also used them, and they saw the logic, so we all moved together. Don't hand over crutches to your kids, is what Eli is saying. And she's also saying that she's repeated that sentence that you said, बच्चों पर नहीं खुद पर काम करना चाहिए. And I think I totally resonate, on that thought of yours, that we need to work upon ourselves. I think that little bit of narcissism, to love ourselves, to take out that time to nurture us. I mean, if we are the nurturers as mothers and we are nurturing a human being from the time it is conceived to the time they need us, which is pretty much always, knowingly, unknowingly, I think we also need to nurture ourselves. Otherwise, the same set of kids will turn around and say that, hey, you know what, you are redundant because you are the person who is not willing to accept the change. So I think acceptance, taking your own responsibility, working upon yourself. So don't just uh, nurture your kids, but nurture yourself also. I think that is
इसमें
coming
मैं,
out so loud and clear.
my elder one Abhas, he would say to me, Mom, why aren't you earning as much as dad? I said, I don't want to earn. You people are earning enough. I want to do things that make me happy. He, he's- he then sat me down the way I sat him down when he was a kid to say, no, you've made your parents and my father's parents so dependent on you, and you've ruined their lives. I want you to work till the last day of your life. I want you to be earning till the last day of your life. Don't ever say that it's okay, somebody else is earning. तो आपको अपना कंट्रीब्यूशन आखिरी दिन तक अर्न करना है और देना है. ये आपको करना है. तो पहले तो बहुत बुरा लगा कि यही सीख दिया क्या हमने बच्चों को. 4 दिन मुझे लगे उससे उबरने में. 4 whole days, and then I said, wow, Eureka. This boy has really taught me the lesson of a lifetime. And I was so thankful to him. I went and hugged him to say, uh, I'm sorry that I was complacent. Yes, I have to be my own earner till the last day of my life. And that's the way everybody should be.
Brilliant. And now if I may wear my hat of a financial mentor, the moment the entire family sits together, support each other to be financially independent, and gradually, for especially women and children, to be financially confident, I think that eureka moment comes for each one of us, because that is where I think it's important to find who we really are, what our identity is. It's not about how much you really earn, but what is your own respect in your own eyes. I think that is what your elder son was trying to convey to you, that don't lose yourself in taking care of everybody around yourself and not keeping a focus on yourself. What a powerful message that young. How old was he when he sat you down for this conversation?
He was in the 11th standard.
That's a lot. That's so much maturity from an
And
11th class child
yeah,
who, he got this from you and your husband, ex-husband, because you
even
perhaps
Dada
right.
Dadi and Nana Nani as well. They were really a pillar of support uh, to them, because both of us were traveling. We were traveling parents, so they would be there. It's not that nurturance is not required; it is required.
Of
तो
course.
वो इंडिपेंडेंस अपने आप से नहीं आ जाती है. And today he sends money to both the grandparents. Allowance मिलता है, देते हैं उन दोनों ये बच्चे. तो ऐसा भी नहीं है कि मेरे को बोल दिया कमाओ और अपनी जिम्मेदारी नहीं निभा रहे. So they're very very responsible children towards the community, and they are givers. They donate during the normal course, and during COVID also they donated a bit. Uh,
Wonderful. This is so superb. It's lovely to hear your thoughts as to how you raised your kids. A very different way of raising your children. So you mentioned passingly in brief while we were speaking about when you and your ex partner separated, that you went through your own mental challenges. When we were talking about the mental well-being of the kids, how did you deal with that? Because your kids would have been at a very crucial stage in life at that time. So how did you deal with it? How did you, the three of you, really support each other when perhaps each of you needed each other the most?
no, even the grandparents, their father, he had a heart attack because I said I will not give a divorce. It was a very tough time for the entire family. Uh, but winter always turns to spring. It was a very dark phase for all of us. We all went to our counseling sessions. I had medicines, psychiatric medicines for a period of 4 5 years. So, but best was that there was the faith that whatever each one is feeling, uh, that tide will ebb and a fresh tide will come. So each one had their own way of coping with it. Community also helped a lot. Friends kept dropping in, kept sharing their perspective. And we were lucky that the new member of the family is also as giving and as caring. So they have a very loving stepmother now and also a stepsister uh, that was missing in the family. And of course, she also came with her pet. So they have a pet also. And I got another partner after howling and crying for a little while. And I also have inherited not only a pet, but two boys from my partner's side.
Wonderful. Yeah. So
So they're
sometimes,
like
what looks
elder
like the
brothers.
bend,
Yeah,
the end,
yeah,
rather, what looks like an end is actually a bend for perhaps something more beautiful on the other side,
yeah.
which many a times we tend to miss. And as you rightly said, there is always spring after winter, but we just need to hold on and pass through that tough phase of our life. And I think so many messages, guidance that is there in your journey that you have shared with all of us today. So just to make it a little lighter, any fun moment, any exciting moment that you remember, where you took the boys out and you were caught unaware or in an awkward situation to answer the boys when they were growing up, anything like that that you ever experienced?
All the time. So they are always questioning and अभी लगता है कि भाई तुम हमारे माँ बाप हो कि हम तुम्हारे माँ बाप हैं. So all the time they would question and give us guidance actually. And you took it and you what do you say? You learned from it and you grew. It was like this. So whether it's decisions in life, whether it's technology, whether it's financial decisions, um, they are always there to teach and help. And they started very young, very young. We had a problem of alcoholism in the house. So younger one, he was only 8 years old when he accosted. ये कैसे आप बात कर सकते हैं? आप ऐसा बात बिल्कुल नहीं कर सकते. जिस तरह से उसने मुझको बोला कि आप कैसे माँ हो? मेरा खून निकल रहा है और आप नहीं हो. आप आओ मेरे पास. So it is not a moment of seriousness. You can see the what do you say, the error and laugh at it, and the comedy of errors is the joy of life.
Absolutely, and
But
teaches you
fun
so much
for,
sometimes.
yeah. Then they learned music, so they were the first song he composed was "Stinking Socks." मैंने कहा तुम्हारे socks कब stink करते भाई और क्यों stink करते? नहीं मामा, this is like, I mean, you don't look at whether you're a bad mama or a good mama that my socks are stinking. Stinking socks is like uh, it's a way to get some emotions up. तो हम लोगों को लगता है कि अरे बदबूदार socks, but for them it is something which is bringing joy and laughter.
And it's that song by in the serial Friends, Smelly Cat. That's wonderful.
तो
That's so
इनका लैंग्वेज भी इतना फर्क है, सभी कुछ इतना फर्क है, तो उसको अपनाना बहुत जरूरी है और उसके साथ ग्रो
acceptance.
करना बहुत जरूरी है.
True. So I think आपकी जर्नी से जो हम सीख पा रहे हैं वो ये है कि acceptance and to bring about the change or grow with the change or evolve with the change are two things that are very important, and that can only happen when we ourselves take responsibility of ourselves.
लाइक मैं बहुत ये कर रही थी कि नहीं नहीं डिवोर्स हो भी गया तो क्या है, वी आर स्टिल अ फैमिली, वी आर स्टिल अ फैमिली. But they then put that down. No, we are an extended family. We are not a family. We are not parents. You are a mother and he is a father. तो फिर उन्होंने समझाया मेरे को कि नहीं, it's not together. But फिर भी जब when he wanted to introduce Erin to the family, he booked a hotel and he then said that I've booked it for the entire family. All of you will come and stay there, and that's how we'll spend family time together. So after I understood that there are new boundaries within which we have to work, then he opened up to say, okay. So now that time I was not even a sibling. I was perhaps a granddaughter to be learning from my son. So one role distinguishes, a new role comes up. You slip back, slip in. So transitioning is very important constantly.
Right, absolutely. So आपको कभी गुस्सा आता था? Were you ever did you ever get very strict with them as a mother when you only wore the hat of a mother?
Yeah, there were fights. घूसा चप्पल भी हो जाता था. With all
Really?
my child rights, तो खूब होता था. So with the elder one. With the younger one,
One is a
he
lawyer.
will be very angry and we'll have a lot of arguments. But there is a place for apologizing. There is a place for understanding. So emotions, of course, rise. All kinds of emotion rise. There is trust which wanes off. Then you have to rebuild it again. So all emotions are there, good and the bad ones. But
Yeah,
you
you
to
shouldn't have used the child rising, otherwise, a younger one being a lawyer and perhaps would have had it in him from the very beginning, would have put many sections, okay, section this, section that against you. Absolutely lovely, lovely talking to you, to know this other side of you, and, you know, to know a lot more about you than what I already know. And I'm sure everyone who's hearing us, watching us, I think has a lot, many takeaways to take. Uh, comments like our first responsibility is towards ourselves, then only we can raise a well nurtured society. You know, people are appreciating what you're saying, because I think there is something new that we are getting to learn, that this is also a way of parenting. It is not always about showing their eyes, it's not always about that I am the mother or I am the father, so I'm always right, but it's also about learning from them. I think uh, there have been a few parents who or mothers who have shared this, that our kids have been our teacher rather than we being them. But I think the way you've brought it out from your journey of accept, I think that acceptance is such a strong thing to accept, and because we don't do that, we have many issues in life.
एक और
The
इंस्टेंस
change.
बताती हूँ.
G.
uh, ये a friend of mine, in fact a mentee, he was tried and to say that he had sexually assaulted uh, other boys, and I wouldn't believe it. I was so hurt that no, my loved one cannot do this, and this is something that I have to now have a campaign against it. So then Prakhar sat me down to say, it takes so much, mummy. You've been on sexual harassment committee, many organizations, and just because it's happening personally to you, you are up in arms. This is not fair. And if somebody is tried, the court is tried, they might be just right. And I think it took me about 7 to 8 weeks to get out of that situation. And then there was another set of dialogue to say, even if he's done this and he's a person I love and he loves me so much, there can still be healing. Even if it was a heinous crime, there can still be healing. And there can be a life uh, from beyond the sentence. सो इस तरह के डायलॉग्स और इस तरह की जर्नी ऑफ रोलर कोस्टर can only happen if you're doing it right from the start.
Absolutely.
तो वो there are cycles and cycles of learning in that. आप कैसे रिस्पॉन्ड करते हो किसी सिचुएशन पे, फिर कैसे समझते हो, फिर अपने बायसेस को, अपने वैल्यूज को साइड में करके आप फिर नए वैल्यूज को अपनाते हो.
True. So there is a question that has come. This is by Mr. Bhatnagar. He is also a father to two grown up boys and also a grandparent. He's saying, where the parents stand today in the Google world, are they just a monitor in the larger game plan? I am seeing the fifth generation upbringing seems to be coming as a big challenge. What do you have to say to that?
Look, you were a parent when you were a parent. Now, if you can't be a friend, if you can't be a sibling, then you will be not traveling in the same bus. Now you have to be a co-human. और उस रिश्ते को किसी रोल का नाम ना ही दिया जाए तो अच्छा है. And Google World has so much uh, learn from that also. So if they are
So there
only
is.
communicating during a birthday on the webcam, that is also good enough. And
So I
they're
think
not
this.
even doing that. We call them 10 times now and they are not picking up phones. 2 महीने में भी बात नहीं होती है, पर वो भी ठीक है.
So again, I think it again comes down to the acceptance, that acceptance of the fact that they have their own challenges, they have their own life. how one can cordially live together, cordially coexist. They now have their own family, especially for the parents where the kids are married or they further have their children, because their responsibility is now what yours was when you were of that age. So I think that that vicious cycle, that continuity, of the cycle is there, which perhaps many of us actually forget. Yes, Mr. Bhatnagar, the parenting style has changed a lot. Parents are becoming more friends than that strict version of parenting that we saw in the maybe 2 3 generations above us. But I think technology helps. There is a boon. There are disadvantages also, and I think COVID has taught us that everything has its, two sides. There are two sides of the coin, and both need to be looked at. Every individual is different, and we need to accept. I think it boils down to the acceptance.
कुछ
Wonderful.
मान
Thank
के
you.
बैठ जाओगे तो बुरा ही मानते रहोगे ना, फिर तुमको मनाने तो कोई आएगा नहीं, तो बुरा मान के फायदा क्या
बिल्कुल,
है?
एब्सोल्युटली। तो जाते जाते शिवानी जी, आप क्या गाइडेंस देना चाहेंगी पेरेंट्स को, जो नए पेरेंट्स हैं, जो पेरेंट्स हैं पर अब ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स बन गए हैं? व्हाट वुड बी दैट वन स्ट्रॉन्ग पीस ऑफ एडवाइस to all the parents across the age group from you, the parent?
Just be open to communication. When they don't communicate, you don't stop communicating, and also don't over communicate. तो आजकल तो 2 मिनट का जमाना है, तो आप 2 सेकंड ही लीजिए. Just be there and keep seeing that what is happening, and be attentive. That's about it. When the person will come to you, they will come to you. They are
Wonderful.
not yours. They have come through you, as Mark Twain or whoever said. They are not your children.
They're not yours.
You were just medium.
Just a medium. Very true. Very rightly said. And I think this is, a very, very enriching conversation. A lot of food for thought for a lot of parents who perhaps think that our kids are our property, we own them. I think we need to inculcate the habit of taking responsibility. We ourselves need to accept the change. And perhaps what we preach to our kids as parents, it's important that we imbibe those learnings for our own self also. For perhaps the cordial relationship, the happy relationship, and as Shivani said कि बुरा मान के बैठेंगे तो बुरा ही मानते रहेंगे, कोई नहीं मनाने आएगा तो फिर you are, all of you are in your own cocoons, and you will not be able to enjoy life. So I
फैमिली तो
think that
बदल गई है ना, फैमिली का कॉन्सेप्ट बिल्कुल बदल गया पहले से. तो अब तांगे में तो नहीं बैठे हम, तो मेट्रोस में
absolutely,
बैठ रहे हैं.
yeah,
So join
absolutely,
that.
we're the treadmills. We have to grow, we have to change, we have to evolve. And so thank you so much for this wonderful
So much
enriching
for having me.
conversation.
Yeah.
And let me tell everyone that this conversation was initiated perhaps a year and a half back. But at that time, she felt perhaps it's not the right time. And here today we are actually concluding this conversation with her. So thank you so much. I think the wait was worth it, and a lot of inputs for me as a young parent to work on myself so that I can do a better job in my parenting. So thank you so much. It was lovely, lovely interacting with you. So for all of you who joined in today, thank you so much for hearing this conversation at Facebook and YouTube. If you, as a mother or a father, would like to share your journey, your experience for all of us to learn, be my guest, reach out to the team, Ela Pachori, Monica Goyal Devan, Pooja Dikshit, or myself, and we'll be happy to have an interaction, to learn from you, and maybe you could learn a little bit from us. So, thank you everyone for joining in. And before I go, on 7th of May, there is a new initiative that Motherhood Club is going to launch. It is Rabindranath Tagore's Jayanti. It's his birthday, and He wrote some amazing stories. So, we, for the first time at Motherhood Club, will be hosting an open mic of story reading with 5 to 6 members who will be reading out their stories, self written stories. Do join us on 7th May at 6 p.m. for an enriching experience. And that would be done on a regular basis. So each one of us would get a chance to read out our stories over there. So till then, take care, stay safe. Don't forget to wear your mask. The virus has still not gone, and protect yourself from the heat also, especially in the northern part of the country. So once again, thank you so much, Dr. Shivani, for this wonderful, engaging conversation. It was a pleasure having you at the Motherhood Club Talk Show.
Thanks a lot, Ekta.
Thank you. Take care. So thank you, everyone. See you all very soon. This is Ekta Sehgal signing off for today. Till we meet again, keep smiling, keep enjoying life, and keep inspiring everyone in and around you. And most importantly, the person who you see every day in the mirror, which is you yourself. Happy Mother's Day to everyone, because motherhood is not just about being a mother. Every person who who is nurturing someone is a part of the motherhood journey, be it a grandparent, a father, uncle, aunt, or whoever. So wonderful. Take care, stay safe, and bye bye.